Welcome to a Song of Ice and Fire Symposium. My name is Nav, and my pronouns are they, them.
And my name's Harmit, and my pronouns are Hershey, like the chocolate.
And this is A Feast for Crows, chapters 11 and 12, The Kraken's Daughter and Cersei. In these chapters, we have two queens vying for power, but unfortunately, the one who has it doesn't deserve it, and the one who deserves it doesn't quite have it yet.
Whoa.
Welcome to the podcast, everyone. So, Harmith, did anyone die in these chapters?
I don't think so.
Right? Like, how many chapters has it been and no one's
Someone
dead?
died? Like, genuinely, I'm looking at these papers, and the last time...
No, we did hear about somebody dying.
Oh, oh, that dude's, like, dad, brother, like, you know?
Yeah, like, actually, we heard about a couple people dying. So, the Christopher guy died.
Yeah.
And then then Cersei was talking about how they heard about the Hound killing people in the Riverlands.
Right, yes, the phrase.
Not just the phrase, but
oh, right,
more.
Like, they were, yeah. She was like, oh, yeah, yeah. I remember it in my head, I just said it wrong.
Okay, yeah, so I guess some, like, distant deaths. Maybe we're getting to the death part finally, because, like,
maybe.
What is happening here?
Even, like, you guys, we had a wedding.
We've had no on-screen deaths.
Yeah, and, like, we just had a wedding where nobody died. That's how you know it's, like, wild when no one dies at a wedding.
Yeah.
Because you're like...
I didn't even think about that, but you're right.
Like...
Unless there's, like, some delayed poisoning situation going on, you know?
I mean, Tommen was coughing.
He sure was. He was just trying to keep up with his mother with the drinking, and he couldn't quite do it.
That's so funny.
Honestly, Cersei be chugging that wine, though.
Yeah. Honestly, it's so funny, though, because I didn't even notice until Jaime was like, oh, your mom's getting turned. Like, until he said that, I honestly didn't even register how much she was drinking, because okay, wait, can you just say, what did you think of these chapters? So
yes, what did you think of these chapters?
Okay, I'm gonna do Cersei first, because I've already, you know?
Yeah.
I'm a sprinkler, you guys, on the high setting, okay?
Okay.
I keep making water comparisons to myself, and I don't know, I'm the Avatar now, I don't know. What? No, that's not, no.
Cersei,
okay.
You were gonna talk about Cersei's chapter.
Okay, wait, no, I was so passionate, and then I lost it, wait. Oh, yes, okay, so until I spent this entire chapter getting angrier and more annoyed at Cersei, but then suddenly I felt bad, but then the anger was back, and I think maybe this is just a me thing, because the last couple of weeks, like, have been good weeks, and, like, I've been happy, but I think I've had, like, some delayed anger responses. So I think while reading these chapters, that was coming out a little bit.
It's like Cersei taking out her anger at the Tyrells on her poor, like, lady's maid.
Everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, me doing the same thing. Yeah. I think a little bit, but I also just think she was being, like, Okay, I have 3 thoughts about Cersei's chapter. 1, being so annoying. Like, I was so bothered the entire time. Second thought, I feel really bad for her, because clearly this is, like, you know, all the issues coming together in a bad way, right? So I do feel bad. However, reading this chapter specifically, the anger 100% was overtaking the feeling bad. Third thing, her insults are the best thing. The adjectives that she uses to describe people are so, like, it's one of those things where, like, if she was, like, a real person beside me saying these things, I'd be so, like, turned off. I'd be like, you're such a rude, insensitive person who judges people for their appearances, but when I'm reading it, I'm like, she's so funny. Because at the end of the day, like, if you're gonna be a rude person, at least be funny. And she, like, gets that, you know?
Okay.
So she's so funny. So,
all right.
yeah,
point those out when we come across them.
Yeah. And then Brienne. Sorry. Or no,
wait. What?
Frick, not Brienne.
I'm
Asha.
like, what?
Asha? Where did I get Brienne? That's so funny. Please. You can tell that, like... you can tell the archetypes when I start confusing them. I'm like, oh yeah, they're all just the same because they're written the same way. Okay.
Well, not at all, actually.
Maybe I was just tired reading this chapter, but I was like, okay, wait, no, these are my thoughts. I was so excited for our first Asha chapter, and I just was like, okay, once again, maybe this was just me being bothered, like, in general, but I don't know, it just felt so, like, I don't know, there were some moments where I was like, where is the originality? Like, some of these tropes we've already seen it, like, I don't know, maybe I just, like, wanted something from her that, like, she wasn't, like, I couldn't even tell you what I wanted, but there was, like, some moments where
if you're comparing her to Brienne, Brienne and her are not very alike, other than the fact that they take on, like, traditionally male roles in that way, but, like, even in how they do that, they're very different.
I'm not, like, that, yeah, no, that was just a slip of the tongue, like, I'm not comparing them, I'm just, like, I just feel like, I don't know, like, I think I'll explain it more, like, as we get into it, like, I liked moments with Asha, and I think I'm gonna enjoy future Asha chapters, but there was just, like, I feel like all the, like, I don't have a better word right now other than quirkiness, that, like, when we were seeing her from Theon's perspective, I just felt more connected to her, I think. And I can't, like, I don't know, I haven't, like, fully, fleshed out why, but I'm thinking it might just be because, like some of the things, like, some of the ways that, like, he's, like, describing her, I'm just like, okay, whatever, but, like, give me some, I don't know, I think maybe I just wanted, like, too much, like, originality, and, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, like, which moments felt like that for you.
Yeah. But then there were other moments where I was like, she's also really funny, which I enjoyed.
She is.
She's funny. I enjoyed her, like, humor and stuff, but I just, like, I don't know, maybe it's, like, a Varys, like, you know, I remember someone said in the Discord, like, a couple months ago, where they were like, I would never want to see inside of Varys's head, because then, like, that sparkle of, like, oh my god, why does he do what he does?
The mystery is gone, yeah.
Yeah, like that. I don't know why I said sparkle. But, like, the sparkle is gone, you know? You're, like, the shine of, like, what's he doing? Why is he doing it? And, like, I hope I don't feel that way about Asha, but from this one chapter, maybe I do. Because I liked her a lot more from the other POV. And I don't know, maybe this is just, like, my own stuff getting in the way. I don't know. But, like I said, I haven't fleshed out these thoughts, which is why I don't know if they're gonna last. Because this isn't, like, an opinion I have. This is just, like, a first impression I got. So, I don't know. We'll talk about it when it comes up. But, like, I don't know. Not my favorite chapters. I did enjoy them. But I think there was just a lot of me wanting more.
Fair.
A little bit.
Yeah, they were also fairly short compared to other chapters.
Yeah, like, not a lot happened. Like, for Asha's, obviously, it was her first, so we were just kind of getting a glimpse of, like, how she thinks, like, she literally just got back and she had to, like, pull her shit together to Queen's mood it up, you know? So, like, it makes sense, but I think the other chapters so far have been pretty action-packed, so it felt like a little bit like, you gave us a wedding where no one died, like, you know? It was kind of
right.
So,
okay, wow.
like, what do you, not that, like, I want people to die, but, like, maybe, like, the wedding's over and, like, suddenly we get news of something crazy happening. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it was, there was just nothing, like, super action-packed.
Okay.
Anyway,
well, I agree with that. They're more, like, internal thought chapters, more so than, like, external action chapters.
And usually I like that. But I think, like, today and yesterday, I guess, I just wasn't, like, in that mindset, I guess. Because usually I like the ones where people are, like, in their head a lot more. But this time it just, like, didn't work out. For me.
Well, let's okay, we've already done too much. Let's first summarize them and then get into the nitty-gritty. So, are you
I feel
ready
like
to
I don't remember
summarize?
I feel like I don't remember a single thing, but go off.
Well, according to you, nothing happened in these chapters, so it should be easy to summarize.
That doesn't make it easier, bestie.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, Asha's just getting back. She finds out about the King's Moot. She visits her reader uncle. She's talking to him, and he's basically like, "Don't go for it. You're not gonna win anyway." And she's like, "I gotta. This is who I am." And he's like, "But it would be smarter if you and your dad weren't like this." And then she talks to her past lover, and he basically is like, "Marry me. I asked your mom," and she's like, "I'm not gonna marry you. I was over it before it was over anyway." So. And now she's basically gonna go prep for the Queen's Moot, I think.
Switch.
Oh my god, that was kind of a good. Oh, sorry. Wait, why did I stop? Okay, wait, Cersei. No, restart my time. Cersei. Okay, it's the wedding, and she's super angry, and she's drinking a lot, which I didn't notice. So she's angry, she's drinking a lot. She basically is getting mad at every single thing about Marjorie and everyone. And we get this flashback of like the person being like that person we talked about before being like, "Oh, you're gonna be replaced by someone younger and more beautiful than you." And she's like, "No," and she's in denial. And then she talks to Jaime, and she's like kind of icing Jaime out the entire time, and she's like, "Fuck him too." And then she burns down the Tower of the Hand after the wedding.
Okay, that's a minute. Okay. All right, let's just jump in. So, the Kraken's daughter, which you accurately guessed as being Asha, so that's cool. So she is at Harlaw, or like on Harlaw, but at 10 Towers, the main castle.
Yeah.
And she's just arrived, and these are all the people that have come to Harlaw to support her. Mm-hmm. But it's not a lot of people. It's too few by far. And it's, she expected a lot more. Yeah. And she's just kind of lamenting that fact. Mm-hmm. And then eventually she goes to go see her uncle, who they call... Well, his name's Roderick, but they call him the Reader, which I'm going to continue calling him because I think it's cool. And
name.
We get this description of how he's like always reading, like whether it's on the privy or like in between seeing his applicants, like, you know?
Yeah.
I just love that.
It's so good.
It's exactly how I function.
So true. It's so nice. It's so nice because so far we kind of only have Tyrion and Sam, and now we get more. So
true, yeah. And he has some wise sayings, this Reader, but we'll get to that. Mm-hmm. This chapter had so like on Kindle, it'll, if you have this setting on, it'll show you the most highlighted phrases that people have highlighted. And in this chapter, there were multiple. Usually there's none in it. Like there's one in a chapter, if any.
Wow.
But like everything the guy was saying, people were like, "Oh, this is
he's
facts."
so wise, bro. It's like I love George R. R. Martin's like George R. R. Martin loves readers because
well, he himself is a reader, right?
Obviously, yeah. And like every time he puts in a reader, he's like, "This is actually the greatest person," or at least like in the scenes where they are reading. It's like that association, and they're like, he's like, "Oh yeah, look at how knowledgeable."
Yeah,
and
it's always like people around them are making fun of them for reading, but like actually, they're the ones who should be making fun of the rest of the world.
They're given the POV. They're given the POV. They're given the good edit, you know. And it's like, you know, you get the like, oh, people are just misunderstanding because people don't get it, you know. And it's like, it's so smart because you're like, look at this great reader, and I'm like, slay.
Yeah.
But it would be cool if he did introduce a reader. Like, if, like, Tywin had been, like, an avid reader or something, that would be a really cool detail.
He probably read, but we don't.
No, but
it's not mentioned as his personality trait or anything.
Yeah, that's true. I just think it would be cool to get a reader villain, because it's, like, something new.
Yeah.
George R. R. Martin, take notes for the 6th book.
But also, like, I think of all the biases, a bias towards readers is like a good one to have, you know?
Oh yeah, I'm not complaining. I just think it would be like an interesting thing because it would be unexpected. Because
I guess
never
that's true.
In a book, not in a book, but like never in media are people like, wow, this reader who knows everything is actually using the knowledge for bad. So it would be like an interesting. Anyway, I'm totally.
Well,
I don't
bet
know where this is
Littlefinger
going.
reads.
Maybe.
But once again, he doesn't have like a reputation for it. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just like guessing because like in my head, how else are you getting knowledge? Like they don't have TikTok or YouTube. Like you don't have a crash course. How are you getting?
Maybe just like, he just asks, like he has his informants, asking around, talking to other slimy people like himself.
True. Okay, let's get over this.
Yes, sorry. Not to derail us.
Yeah, she like asks after her mom, who's been living here for a few years, but she's like, I'm gonna go see her later because she is kind of a real downer.
Yeah.
Like summed up, that's kind of what she's saying.
Yeah.
So there's a tower called the Widow's Tower, and it was named that when the reader's elder sister came to live there after her husband died, but she's still living there. She was only supposed to be there like while she was grieving, but like who cares, right? Like
yeah.
But now the point is that her mother, who is also a widow, has joined her in that situation.
Yeah.
And yeah, her mom's always been kind of sickly, and everybody's like, she is kind of surprised that she's outlived her dad and all of her siblings. It's unfortunate, but also, well, I don't know. Is it unfortunate that she's still alive? It's unfortunate that everybody else is dead.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate because it's kind of like the Catelyn thing again, where it's like you're grieving someone and then someone else dies and you're like, well, I'm the only one left. Like, you're kind of just like really sad. But it's just like, and I get that, like whatever, like this is what happened. But it was just annoying because I was like, bro, another sad, sickly mom, like, okay, whatever, like, moving on.
The mothers are all either always grieving
dead or
dead.
Yeah. And I just was like, come on, bro. Like,
and also, like, I get her grieving, like, she's, like, she lost all her sons, and like she used to wander around Pike calling for them, but also, like, you've got a daughter right there, like, pay her some attention too,
Yeah, real.
But like also grief is not reasonable, so like I get it, but also I side-eye it, but I also get it.
Yeah. That's fair.
So she finally goes to go see her uncle, and he's in his reading room, as you would expect.
Iconic.
And he is reading Archmaester Marvin's Book of Lost Books. Remember Marvin, the mage? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I don't remember the specific, like, the book didn't mean anything to me, but he did.
Right. Okay. So he's the one who believes in magic, right? He's the only one who kind of does.
Yeah.
And apparently he claims to have found 3 pages of signs and portents, which was written down by the maiden daughter of Aenar Targaryen before the Doom. Now, this is the girl that had the prophetic dream about the Doom of Valyria and told the Targaryens to get the fuck out of there. And that's why they survived. Everybody else in Valyria died.
Whoa.
So she had some real prophetic dreams, and apparently he has found some pages of these dreams she wrote down. So I wonder could have been what like else other prophecy he's like learned about,
cool. Yeah.
He just says he claims to have found, but like what did these pages say? Like, I want to know.
Yeah, that's cool.
Cuz maybe, like, I don't know, maybe there's some prophecy about Dany, or like the others,
a dragon
or like
will come back. Yeah, like the Doom will do this, but then one day like a dragon will, like, yeah, totally. Yeah. There could be a lot of cool stuff in there. Or like the dragon will duel the snow giant. Like, the creativity is not flowing right now, but you get the point,
Yeah, I get it. No, but like,
yeah, I want to see that.
He knows, like, he's the one who kind of believes in the magic stuff, even though he also supported Qyburn, which, like, that's sus.
Mhm.
And but he also seems to like know about the dragons and that glass candle that he's got burning, you know?
Yeah.
So like I wonder what his knowledge base is.
Yeah, totally.
So it's something to keep our eye on. And yeah, he's like, "Oh, have you seen your mom?"
Hopefully
and she's
Sam,
like, "Nah."
you know, I want Sam to become his like most like
Apprentice.
cherished acolyte vibes, you know?
Right.
And then we get him on our side instead of like everyone else's side.
Interesting.
Which would be like a fun little development.
So yeah, they're just like, "Okay, I'll go see my mom later."
Just before that, there was like a really like what I did like about Asha is like how she's like, "Oh, my father was not good at this." Like that, like not like she's like he was bad at being a lord, but like what does she say? I don't remember the exact words. Fridge. Okay, we'll get to it, I think, because it comes up later, but that wasn't what I was going to say. But, like, one of the ways she does that is, like, she's like, "Oh, yeah, like, make sure, like, Lady Glover and the children are, like, good." And, like, as far as I know, they aren't, like, super high up on the chain, right? Or are they, like, would they have that thing of, like, "Oh, you're, like, a hostage
I totally forgot
higher
to tell
up on
you
the chain."
About so she took over Deepwood Mott.
Mm-hmm.
The Glovers are the lords of Deepwood Mott.
Oh.
So they're like northern lords sworn to the Starks or whoever now.
Right.
And,
oh yeah, LOL.
Right. And so like the lords themselves had like been out to war, but like it's like his wife and kids and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So she's brought them with her to Harlaw as hostages, but she's like, make sure you actually take care of them, not just like put them in cells. And also this kid's sickly, let's like find something for him. Whereas Balon Greyjoy would just have been like, you know, throw them in the dungeons. Like, who cares if they live or die?
There we go. That was the point. I just didn't know how to make it. Thank you. That's where I was going with that. So I was like, slay Asha.
No, thanks for bringing that up, because I kind of totally forgot about that. But yeah, so she's
I was like, they don't, because I was like, I didn't remember that they were the Deepwood Mott people, but that makes a lot more sense. But I was like, as far as I remember, they're not high enough on the chain for me to remember, like, specifically who they were. So I was like, okay, Asha, slay. Like,
yeah,
we're taking,
like, she took over their house, but like she's treating them well.
Yeah, she's like, oh yeah, like conquest. However, you're still a human being,
right?
Basically, which yeah, which is a step up from her Ironborn relatives who do not seem to have any of that. They're like, no, everyone just sucks. Let's just kill them.
Yeah, and it's after telling this like people to take care of the Glovers as she goes to see her uncle. But yeah, so she's reading, they're just hanging out, and yeah, she's like, oh, I got these captives, we gotta take care of them. Deepwood Mott's important to my plans. And the reader's like, well, they must change, you come too late. And
every time you say I know that his nickname is the Reader, and I get that, but then I'm like, what do you mean? My brain goes, oh, me? Like you? Like, oh, the Reader thinks. And like, I know that's his name.
Like I'm writing an essay.
Yeah. You're like, from this, the Reader can then interpret. Like, I was like, what do you mean? I was like, why are we so formal right now?
Yeah. But they're like, okay, so how are you? We're cool. And he's like, oh yeah, I've got some glasses on the way to help me read better, which I love.
Iconic.
Yeah. And they're just like checking up on, you know, like, how are your people? How are your people? Basically. And I was just like, so my dad, was he murdered? And apparently her mom thinks so. But for all intents and purposes, he, you know, was walking her across a bridge and there was a storm and he fell. Like, nobody's fault. And
at that point,
she's like,
she has a fun line where she's like, I've never met a man I didn't provoke. Which is so funny. I was like, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. And she's like, so he dies, and the very next day the crow's eye shows up, not at all suspicious.
What a timely return, as the reader says.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, where are the rest of my ships? I only counted like a dozen, or not a dozen, but like 50 ships. Like, where's the rest? You know? And he's like, I called for them. This is just who came. Like, what can we do about it?
Oh no.
And she's asking about some guy, Black Tide, and he's like, oh, well, he's probably at Old Wick by now. And Asha doesn't know all the goings down at Old Wick because the damp hair has called a king's moot.
And she's like laughing. She's like, we haven't done this. And how long does she say? I was shocked by how long she said.
Hundreds of years.
4,000 years, if hair can be believed, or half that. Like, so either 2,000 or 4,000 years.
Right.
Which is, like, I was expecting it to be like, a couple years, like, not a couple years, sorry, that's like a couple hundred years.
Right. Yeah, I think this was a while ago. But I also had this remembrance that, like, when Aegon the Conqueror came, so the ones who ruled at that time were Harren the Black, like, of Harrenhal, remember? He was a ruler, but obviously he got fried. But so then Aegon the Conqueror was like, hey, Ironborn people, hold another king's moot and select your lord, and they'll be the lord forever now. And they selected the Greyjoys. So I feel like that was like a couple like 300 years ago, wasn't that?
Maybe, but I feel
maybe I'm misremembering it, but I feel like that's what happened.
Because she's literally
But I guess like before that, it was like thousands of years.
No, but it literally says, though, miss the first king's moot called in. How long has it been? 4,000, if this guy can be believed. Or half that. So I feel like, and she's a Greyjoy, though, so wouldn't it have come up? If it was like,
maybe they don't count it as a real king's moot. Maybe I'm misremembering it. Maybe it wasn't called a king's moot. Maybe it was like just an general election or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
But like, okay, I really, really have like a strong remembrance of this.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look into this.
Okay, go for it. Did what's his face? Did George R. R. Martin just forget about that plot that he created? And he was like, oh yes, a king's moot hasn't happened in thousands of years.
Yeah. So after they bent the knee, Aegon allowed them to revive their ancient custom and choose who would have primacy among them, and they chose Vicken Greyjoy of Pike. So they did, but maybe it doesn't count because it was like enforced by like an outsider and it wasn't like a self-done thing.
I feel like George R. R. Martin just forgot about that when he was writing this, or that was written after.
Other than that, maybe it's been thousands of years, you know?
Damn, pulling out the receipts.
And even since then, it's been 300 years, and the whole point was like, this is it.
It's been a while.
Like,
yeah. Yeah, because she literally just starts laughing, and she's like, are we I really have to do this? Like, I have to go, like, you know? Which, like, from her perspective is, like, pretty fair, because she's literally the heir. Pretty fair, because she's the heir. No thanks to damp hair, sorry. Like,
add it to the nursery rhymes.
True. Please. So yeah, she's just basically like, okay, and like the crow's eye's doing this too. And he's like, bro, how would I know what the crow's eye is doing? And she's like, okay, maybe like this is better than like having to like spar it out. You know, she says better a king's moot than a war. So she's like, okay, fine. I'll figure this out.
Yeah, and you better lend me that book on the King's Moot so I can learn all the rules and everything.
Queen of research, exactly. Let's go.
And Yeah, he's like, okay, yeah, you can have it. Just read it in this room because I don't trust you because it's old and fragile. But maybe he doesn't trust anyone, you know?
Yeah. And they're creating this like parallel because he's being all wise and he's like, remember when Euron just like went hardcore with his axemen and then
yeah,
started
like if you go to Old
reign.
Wake, you might be dead.
Yeah,
as history is a wheel, for the nature of man is fundamentally unchanging. If you might guess, that's one of the highlighted phrases.
Banger line. Banger line. Because, yeah, he's basically just like, dudes, we have other things to focus on. Like,
yeah.
y'all can't keep fighting about this every 2 years. Like...
Yeah. And, sorry, my Kindle's doing that thing where if I go back, it goes forward.
Yeah, he's like, this dream of kingship is a madness in our blood. I told your father the first time he rose, and it's more true now than it was then, because now we have 5 fucking kings, and it's land we need, not crowns. Like, let's just join someone's side, get him the win, and then take some credit, take some land. Like, let's develop instead of, like, let's stop arguing within ourselves and actually develop, like, our legacy and, like, where we, like, the land we own, you know?
Because, like, currently they do not sow. Like, they don't have a lot of things to sustain them on the Iron Islands. They do need resources from the mainland, so...
Yeah. But they just keep, like, just arguing within themselves. They
exactly.
Just, what's it
so
called?
He's like...
what's it called when you kill your family? Kinslayer. They just keep kinslaying. Like, come on.
Right. Though technically nobody has kinslayed as far as we know, other than potentially Balon via Euron via Crow. I don't know.
Which is so convoluted. Is it, like, does kinslay still count? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like, does it have to be direct killing or, like, sideways?
Sideways?
I don't know.
Please, that's so funny.
But basically, he's like, I ain't going to the King's Moot, and neither should you.
Yeah, like, you're not going to be chosen. You're probably going to end up dead. This is not a good plan.
And Asha's like, you know what? I like the idea of, you know, teaming up with somebody and getting more land for us, but I will consider it once I am queen.
Oh my god. The iconic.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, you're a woman. Nobody will choose you, and blah, blah, blah. But then she's like, well... I am Balon's daughter, his own heir. All these other uncles are just his brothers. They don't count as much as I do. And he's like, well, fine.
Yeah, she's like, I got you. You can get the people on my side. And he's like, well, yeah, they're, like, under me, and, like, I can tell them what to do in battle, but, like, the whole point of a King's Moot is that we all get our own vote.
They get to choose, yes.
It's a democratic process, girl.
Yeah, and all these people who are currently gathered for you might just change their mind once the King's Moot is happening and it comes down to the voting.
Exactly.
And you should just give it up. Your fight is hopeless. No fight is hopeless till it has been fought, and I'm gonna do it. And he's like, okay, just, like, think of your mom. Are you gonna put her through this again?
Oh my god.
I will burn down your goddamn ship if I need to keep to keep you here.
Please. And they have so much good chemistry.
Yeah, they have
so
like
funny.
back and forth. It's like, oh, and you're gonna make me swim to Old Wig, and he's like, well, maybe that will put some sense in you.
And this is also a nice contrast from, like, because we had Damphair's perspective, which was basically everything my brother did was perfect. He tried to restore us to the old way. I'm obsessed
except
with
for the
him.
fact that he wanted Asha to be his heir.
Right? Yes. That was madness. But everything else couldn't have been madness because people are just selectively mad, right? And so there was that, and then this side we get where Asha's like, "Cool dad, bad ruler," and then like her uncle, where he's like, "Yeah, Balon did all these things, and I don't know if I agreed with most of them." So it's nice to get the opposite perspective where we're like, oh, okay, so Damphair was, like, probably wrong. Like,
yeah. She this is where she says, like, Balon had been blind in some respects. A brave man, but a bad lord.
That's the one I keep thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's like, I'm gonna go to my queen's mood.
Yeah, and
Sorry,
she makes like a good point about, she's like, yeah, like, the old way worked when it worked, but in today's economy, that's not gonna work. And I was like,
yeah,
a modern iron woman slay.
Yeah, it was, because he's like, the options he's seeing are the old way or this, like, just like staying under the Iron Throne way. And she's like, maybe there's a third way that I'll show you at my king's moot. How can you even think of not attending? This will be history alive. I prefer my books dead. Dead history is writ in ink, the living sort in blood.
Ooh, banger, bro.
Yeah.
And then she's like, do you want to die old and craven in your bed? And he's like, how else? Though not till I'm done reading. And I was like, please. They give him one character trait and I love it. I'm like, please keep harping on this.
But yeah, so he's like, okay, we haven't even talked about your mom. She is so sad and you gotta go see her in the morning. And Asha's like, yeah, she'll want to know about Theon. And what's there to tell? So he's like, you're certain he's dead? And she's like, I'm not certain of anything, because, like, we found a bunch of bodies, but who knows whose bodies they were. There was a lot of shit going down, and it looks like even the Northmen had fought amongst themselves, which is, like, more an accurate account than anybody else understands it to be so far.
True.
So, but, like, basically Theon's dead, so she's got to get that news to her mom, and she's dreading having to do that, you know. And yeah, so once again the reader's like, this is bullshit. Crows will fight over it. Sorry, go ahead.
No. That was the line. Continue.
Yeah, crows will fight over a dead man's flesh and kill each other for his eyes. We had one king, then 5. Now, all I see are crows, squabbling over the corpse of Westeros. A feast for crows, if you will. Banger line. And then, like, he basically is like, stay with your mom. Like, she ain't gonna live. You may as well spend whatever time you have with her. And then she's like, my mother raised me to be bold. If I don't go, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering what might have happened if I had. And then he's like, if you do go, the rest of your life may be too short for wondering. Better that than fill the remainder of my days complaining that the Seastone chair by rights was mine. And I was like, damn. I was like, I am seated. I am listening. Because up until this point, I was kind of on his side. But then I kind of was just like, okay, it might be the unsafe choice, but be bold. Like, that she convinced me. I was like, okay, be bold. Yeah, and he can tell that she is quite set on it. So he plays his final card, which is to offer to name her his heir. And that's a pretty good deal, but not, obviously, the Seastone chair.
Because she even says, like, would that I could. Like, she's like, I wish I could, like, just put this aside and be, like, happy with that. But, like, I know I wouldn't. And, yeah,
but, like, if you inherit this castle, you inherit all the books.
Which is so smart.
Yeah, but obviously, she, like,
okay,
I feel like she has respect for the books.
So much more on a reread. Like, when
it was probably your mood, right?
It probably was, because the first time I was reading it, I was just kind of like, why is she being annoying? And then I was, like, a little bit mad. So, yeah, because now I'm kind of reading this, and I'm like, wait, she's girl bossing. Because the thing is, like, that's such a nice, I'm a sucker for when it's like, this is probably, like, you know when Rob, it was objectively the wrong decision to get married to, well, okay, it was, like, about the honor or whatever, but, like, at the end of the day, for his battle strategy, and for him remaining a king and alive, it was objectively the wrong thing to marry this girl, like, it was the wrong thing to do, but I'm such a sucker for, like, I know this is the wrong thing to do, but I just have to do it, And it's like, it's the same thing where it's like, this is probably the worst thing she can do for her physical and emotional well-being. But because it would be so much safer and so much less, like, taxing to just be the heir of this thing. And do you know what I mean? That would be so much easier. But she can't. And that's so good. And I'm such a sucker for, because it's like, because it's like you just can't put aside the ambition, even if it literally kills you. In this case, like, her ambition could, like, kill her. And she's like, I can't. Like, this is what I have to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, slay Asha. I'm on her side now.
It's like I would rather regret the things I've done than the things I didn't do mentality, which I appreciate that, honestly.
Yeah, it's so good. Because it's like, he's absolutely right. I hate it, but he's right. But also, I'm on her side, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when it's like a good discussion, when both sides are right, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, she's gonna go, and she's sure that he'll also come to support her, even though he's like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
And
she's like, he's my favorite uncle. No way he doesn't come.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, yeah, I gotta get back to my book. And she's like, okay, see ya. Let me know if he finds another page from the Targaryen dreams or whatever. So she is about to go join her crew in the hall to eat and stuff when she comes across this guy called Christopher Botley. Is Botley his name? Yeah, Botley. And so what did you think of this guy?
Honestly, okay. Like, I wasn't on his side, obviously, but I did kind of like him. I was a little
really?
like, oh, like, you know, and like maybe
I was not on at all.
I was a little like, okay, like maybe you should move on. Like, it's been several years. But I just like, I think I just like love, I think I love, maybe this is a little bit self-inserty, but I love seeing like, just like men simping.
Sure.
You know?
But
like,
didn't feel quite that.
I know. That's why I'm saying, like, I think I was just interpreting it, like, how I wanted to, because I was like, oh, it's whatever. Like, that's why I'm like, I wasn't on his side. Like, I wasn't like, wow, endgame. I wasn't like, she's gotta end up with him. But I was like, aw, like, this is a cute little romance she had. Like, I think what I'm trying to say is I don't like him now, but I did like the interaction because we got to, like, get, like, the flashbacks of, like, oh, yeah, like, we were together and, like, we did this. Like, I think I just liked that arc. But I don't, like, I didn't necessarily like him now. I just liked the interaction because it gave us that window into then.
Yeah. So, basically, for the people listening, in case they don't remember, this guy came to Pike to be fostered, and they were the same age, so like eventually when they were kids, teenagers, tweens, whatever, they used to mess around with each other. And even back then, like, you know, Asha was like, she called it love, but like once he started talking about having a dozen sons, she was like,
the fuck? Bye.
No thank you. Yeah. So she was like, it was just, she was taking it at the face value, which is like just kids having some fun together, right?
Yeah.
But he seems to have taken it very seriously in that, I have never touched another woman. Like, what, dude? You were a child. What is?
I don't know if I believe him. I think he was just saying that to be like, look how loyal. I think it's one of the things where it's like, when like a guy will like come back to you and try and pretend like when something else doesn't work out, and then when they come crawling back, they like act like they're all like, oh my god, like, see, it didn't work out because I was always in love with you, but really they're just like afraid to be alone. Like, I feel like it probably didn't work out in his other relationships, and now he's like, oh, my first love was the love for me all along. Like, do you know what I mean? I just don't buy him being like, I haven't touched another woman since then. Like, I think he's just getting like,
yeah, I don't know. I didn't really question that. I was just more like, weird. You better get on
like,
that, dude.
Yeah, like, y'all were like 12 and now you're freaking out. Or not even 12. These people get married
and then
at
he
12.
has the
Y'all
gall
like
to be offended that she has had sex with other people. Like,
yeah. I think I just took it like, took it as, like, funny. Like, I was like, oh, this is funny that he's so... Like, I just wasn't taking it super seriously.
I guess I was kind of like, this is the kind of guy that turns against you just because you...
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think I just wasn't taking... Like, I was like, this is just, like, a little... You know, I was just kind of like, oh, haha, he's so ridiculous. Moving on. But I do understand what you're saying. Like, I think if I'd thought of it that way, I would have been icked out. But I think just because I was like... fun little thing, I just kind of moved on, I think.
Yeah. But basically, he's like, oh, I used to write you letters, but they took them all away,
That's
and
what
they
I
never
mean.
gave
Like,
me your letters either.
This is so tropey. Like, I can't take it seriously because it's so funny. Like,
and then she's like, I didn't write you none. Like, in
real.
truth, she had been relieved when Triss was sent away.
Yeah, real. By then, his fumblings had begun to bore her. Please. So funny.
And she's like, oh, are you gonna come support me at the King's Moot? And he's like, yeah, of course I will. But, like, blah, blah, blah. You know, it might be, like, it might not work out because the Crow's Eyes got a lot of power. Mm-hmm. And he's brought back monsters from the East and wizards, too. Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Yeah, I'm like, whomst? What? Is this, because we know that he'd brought Jaqen.
Do we know that?
Or, like, sent Jaqen. Like, either way.
Okay, we guess that he sent Jaqen.
Okay, we know. Moving on. For the purposes of this conversation, we know. Just humor me, okay?
Okay.
And then, yeah, like, is this, like, okay, people who do magic, and he was, like, exiled, right? So he's probably been all over East.
Sure.
So it could have literally been anyone, you know what I mean? Like, he could have gotten, like, a fucking, like, someone from, like, Ashai. I keep going back to Ashai every time. Like, he could get someone from Ashai, he could get someone from, like, you know what I mean? There's so many options, and I feel like it's so non-specific to be like, he has a wizard. Like, did he bring...
Wizards.
Right, yes, wizards. And I'm like, okay, if it was, like, maesters or something, they would have specified. So wizards implies, like, something that's, like, a bit removed from these people. Like, maybe they don't know, like, what culture or what place these people are from. So they're just, like, wizards, you know?
But yeah, but apparently also monsters.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. I
don't know, but that's an interesting development, for sure.
So she's like, oh...
How am I gonna fight that?
Yeah, that's funny. And, let the wizards call upon their gods, and the Dampier will call on ours and drown them. Mm-hmm. That's bold of you to assume he'll support you, but also, he definitely doesn't support Euron, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you shall have all of me. I am your man forever. I would wed you. Your lady mother has already given her consent.
Oh my God.
She stifled a groan. You might have asked me first. Though you might not have liked the answer half so well, which is like, honestly, this guy's like, hasn't even talked to her in years. And like goes directly to her mom.
Yeah. Like, what? So funny.
Like, at the beginning of this conversation, he's like, I'm only Lord Botley in name. My uncle really does all that, and he's supporting Euron. And then here he's like, well, I'm actually Lord Botley, so you can totally marry me.
So you just switch it up? Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, and she's like, no, thank you. And he's like, but I love you. I've never touched another woman. And she's like, go touch one or 10. Like,
so funny. Oh my God.
And like, she thinks back to her first time having sex with this Lyseni sailor who only knew 6 words of the common tongue, but fuck was one of them.
Iconic.
The very word she'd hoped to hear.
Iconic.
I love this.
I'm just imagining like them not being able to talk to each other, but then he's just like, fuck? And she's like, sure.
She's like, fuck.
Yeah. True. Like, that's so funny.
I do love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Asha. Like, I can't get enough of her.
She's really funny. I don't know why I think she's subtle. So when I was reading it the first time, I wasn't noticing some of the fun quirks. So she kind of just felt like I think that's what the problem was. Okay, I've identified the problem. When I was reading it the first time, I was just like, whatever. And so I wasn't noticing some of like her subtleties and like her little like reactions in her head. Like I think I was glossing past them. I think that's what makes her like interesting. And so because I was passing those things up, she just felt like a character where like it was like, wow, we have a girl in charge. Isn't that like, do you know what I mean? Because I wasn't getting the quirks that we were used to from the Theon stuff. But now the second time reading it, I'm like noticing the quirks more, and I'm like, wait, they did keep her interesting stuff. So I'm on her side now.
Cool. I also like how she had the forethought to go and then find some birth control, because like,
yeah,
ain't need no trouble of that kind.
Mm-hmm.
So love that.
And then he is like you said, he's all offended. He's like, I thought you would wait. Were you forced? Which is crazy. This is what I mean. Like, he's so over the top and ridiculous that I struggle to take him seriously. So I struggle to even like be offended, because I'm just like, this isn't real. He's a cartoon. But she's like so forced. I tore his tunic, which is such a good, so good, so funny. She's like, dude, come on. Like, we got married, you'd hate me. Like, you don't even know me. Like, bro. He's like, I've ached for you.
Oh. And she's like, find a brothel. They'll cure you of that ache.
So true.
And I could never. You and I were meant to be. I've always known you would be my wife and the mother of my sons. Like, he's bringing that up again. And I'm just like, haven't you, like, I don't know if she told him at that point, but like,
come on, wrong thing to bring up. She wants adventure in the great wide somewhere.
But he goes to grab her, and she's got she's got her real husband, her Dirk. Remember how she's like,
yes.
Or was her Dirk her suckling babe?
I don't remember.
Oh, you don't remember this?
No, no. I don't remember which one it was.
Okay, but you remember the instance, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's like, take your fucking hand off of me, or you won't live long enough to have a son.
Ooh.
So if you want a woman, fine. I will find you one for your bed tonight. Think of her as me if you need to, but I am your queen, not your wife. Remember that.
Slay.
Just like,
slay.
And then she walks away, leaving him standing there with a fat drop of blood slowly creeping down his neck.
Oh my god.
Just like,
it's giving
what a moment.
Real icon. It's giving Dany being like, Jorah, I'm your damn queen. Except I don't remember.
This is better.
No. Better. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying because I remember that moment didn't really pan out, because she also wasn't completely certain what she wanted. So at the same time, she was like, respect my authority, but she like, in a way, like, she was
iffy about it.
So she almost like she also kind of like had like a weird thing for him too. So she wasn't very convincing either. But like, he's also,
it wasn't so much. It was more like he's been by my side this whole time, and like, I love him, but as like a father figure. But he loves me not as a daughter figure.
Yeah, like, how do I please him as like my subject?
And then later when it comes to like, she finds out about his betrayal, and he's so presumptuous, like calling her Dany in front of her court. Like, she gave him too much room. Yeah, and he overstepped. Yeah, but Asha don't deal with that bullshit, so I love that.
Asha's like, brother, get out. Like, I'm going to my queen's mood. Get out.
Yes, exactly. Slay. Oh my god. The whole world has stopped saying it. Can we also just like put a stopper on that? By we, I mean not me.
Excuse you, okay? Why would we do that when it's such a good word? So you let other people dictate your speaking pattern? Well, I do too. I'm just being all high and mighty when it like supports my argument. But like, honestly, to be honest though, because it's like I think
Oh no,
the first
I was like meaning that jokingly. Like,
I know, I'm joking too. Like
I think our podcast will lose half of its identity if you stop saying slay.
That's
you know?
so funny.
Who
No,
are we if we're not the podcast
stop.
where we say slay every
Please
day?
don't give me a crisis, okay? No, because I literally was also just like, when you said that, I was like entertaining the thought, and I was like, okay, but what would I say instead? Like, oh, that's so cool. Like, that's so lame.
Okay, wait, no. I actually want to hear if people have like alternatives, not as like a will for sure like switch to them, but I
Yeah.
want to hear them.
Like, what you know what I mean? Like, I just think it's the
What
best
are
way.
slay
Because you're
alternatives?
not being like, because it's a very good way to make other people comfortable, because it makes you come across as a little bit like a little, I don't know if himbo's the right word, but like a little bit, you know, where it's kind of like, oh, this person says slay, like they're not competing with me, you know. It's like a nice way to like take yourself less seriously, you know. It's like I'm just going around being like slay, and it's like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, it's just fun.
I just googled alternatives for slay. Kill, destroy, dispatch, murder. Oh, let's start using dispatch. Like, dispatch.
This patch got it going on.
Off. Assassination.
Assassination.
Whoa, these are getting so dark.
Assassination.
Massacre.
Assassination. That's actually the real alternative. Because you know how slay has a double meaning? So it's like assassination, but it's also assassination. It's cute.
What synonym? Okay, wait. Reddit. Sorry, we're going down this wormhole. Oh, literally no one has any suggestions.
That's what I'm saying, because it's become like, it doesn't mean what it used to mean, you know? We've made it like a cultural phenomenon. We can't replace
Dictionary.com.
slay.
In slang, slay can mean to do something spectacularly well.
That's so spectacularly well done.
Okay,
Please.
that was fun. Okay, let's get back to this.
So
Do you have any predictions?
Slay is unmatched.
well, last time you predicted that it was going to be the King's Mood and that Asha was going to win, but
I still think
those things
that
haven't
Asha's
quite happened
gonna-
yet. Okay.
I just like want to believe in the girl boss, you know, even though Euron, like, you know, he's got magic, okay, you know what, Asha's gonna be winning is he's gonna, like, I don't know, she'll make like a cool speech or something, or she'll be like, this is what my father would have wanted, and people will be like, oh wait, yeah, his father did love her, and then to turn the tides, he's gonna have to use his like wizardry shit, and then she's gonna be mad because he used his wizardry shit, and she's gonna be the only one who knows, and everyone else is gonna be like she'll be like the only one who
Magic.
yeah, she'll be like the only one who wasn't affected or something. It'll be like one of those no, this is just me completely making shit up, but like it'll be one of those corny plot lines where it's like she wasn't affected by it because she believed in herself. Like, it'll be like one of those ones. I don't think Game of like A Song of Ice and Fire would do that, but like something similar where it's like she'll be the only one who realizes like what's actually going on, so then she has to now tackle like, yeah, he won, but what do I do about it, you know, and stop his bullshit
for her destiny against the forces of evil.
Yes, real. So those are my predictions.
Cool.
And then
will the reader be there?
Yes, obviously, totally.
Witnessing history instead of reading it.
Yes, because you got to be there for your people. You know, that's the lesson.
Cool.
And she'll talk to her mom, and her mom will be like, "Hey, bestie, don't do this." And she'll be like, "Bye, mom, love you."
Oh yeah, but how's her telling Theon's dead to her mom gonna go?
Probably not well. She might have a little mental breakdown. Okay, I've never used
Is that a thing the kids are saying now?
That was a thing, because you know how I was still thinking about like slay alternatives, so then I started thinking about alternative slang people use, and like I've heard people use it, but I don't think it's caught on because it's just a little like icky, and I've never tried to say it, and I just did, and I icked out myself. Like, I was like, I'm actually never gonna use that again. But yeah, she'll probably have a mental breakdown, unfortunately.
Cool.
Because as they've described her, she's already descending into madness, so I don't think that'll help.
Yeah.
Sadly. All the mothers be
don't tell her.
descending.
Just like, oh, Theon's hanging out with the Starks. You know this. Like, and that's true.
Yeah,
he is, because the Starks be dead.
So true.
So they're all hanging out together in whatever.
Oh my god, so true.
Afterlife.
Please.
Okay, so.
Hi, Cersei.
Okay.
Jocelyn Swifty.
So,
yeah.
She's getting ready for the king's wedding day, and she's angry about it, and she is taking it all out on Jocelyn Swift, who's getting her ready.
She wanted a storm to match her rage.
Mm-hmm.
It was a wedding that had little fool. You simpering. She's so funny. Like, this is so mean, but she's so funny. Like,
I guess. I don't know. Okay. Sure. I want to see more examples, because I didn't feel the funny.
Okay. I don't know. I just, like, she's so mean, and some of her, like, adjectives just, like, it's like I'll read the sentence and I'll be like, that was really mean. But, like, the first time I'm reading it, I'll harp on, like, simpering, and I'll be like, that's so funny. So it's, like, one of those, there's two Harmits hanging on, you know?
Okay. So, yeah, it was a wedding that enraged her, though the slow-witted Swift girl made a safer target, which... It's funny that she's, like, acknowledging it, but also not doing anything about it at the same time.
Yeah.
Awareness does not equal action. Yeah, so she's getting ready, and then Jaime comes in to tell her how he means to keep her son from getting poisoned, and he's like, we'll have people watching the preparation and, like, the table, and also Sir Boris is going to be tasting everything before Tommen does, and also we have the maester right there with a bunch of antidotes. It'll all be fine. Mm-hmm. He will be safe, I promise you. Safe. The word tasted bitter on her tongue. Jaime did not understand. No one understood. Gross. Only Melara had been in the tent to hear the old hag's croaking threats, and Melara was long dead.
Whomst? Melara who? Who Melara?
Old hag who?
Old hag who? Yeah, so was this a while ago? Because also, there's a thing about, like, you will be queen, and then someone will dethrone you. So that was before she became queen. Because otherwise, there wouldn't be a fortune saying
and she became queen when she was, like, 16, so
this was that long ago? So I guess this is, like, over the years also significantly contributed to the Tyrion hate. But she's just never been able to, like, tell anyone about it. And before, she could always just, like...
But what about this says Tyrion?
No, not about this. About, like, you know... Because didn't she say, like... Because I thought this was the same instance. Or is she going back to the same person multiple times?
Maybe. Well, I'm just saying that in this chapter we didn't hear anything about Tyrion specifically, but previously she said something about the Valonqar.
Mm-hmm. Right. So then, oh, right. Then she was like, Tyrion must be the Valonqar.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So maybe it is all from the same, like...
Yeah.
Situation. I wonder. So... Whatever. She's thinking about this, and he's like, I will guard him. And she's like, make sure you guard him through the night, too, because the Tyrells have had it arranged that Marjorie and Tommen are going to at least spend their very first night together, along with a bunch of Marjorie's cousins. And Jaime's like, yeah, they'll be fine. But she's like, no, you get in that room and you keep an eye on those kids.
Please. Yeah.
Which is, yeah. I don't get anybody's motivation on, like, having them either sleep together or separate. Like, I guess, but, like, he's a kid, so it's not, like, a question of consummation.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because, like, consummation, in quotes, is, like, how they, like, validate a marriage.
Yeah.
So maybe this is the closest the Tyrells could get until Tommen's, like, old enough, you know?
Yeah.
Which is also just sucks. Like, he's this child and they're just waiting till the day he could get a boner. Like, what?
Real. Yeah.
I know everything sucks, but, like, sometimes when you think about things, they
suck even more. Yeah. I think Cersei also, like, she has a lot of valid concerns in this chapter, and then she has a lot of paranoia in this chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And this
well, that's her middle name, Cersei Paranoia Lannister.
Please, CPL. That's so funny. Yeah, I think Miss Girl is just like that.
Yeah, so she argued to not ever have them, like, in the same room, but, like, they got the one day.
Yeah. And I think she's also just like, yeah, they might not be able to consummate, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's a further, like, it's another step of Marjorie, like, really becoming his wife and his queen. You know, it's like just that further closeness. Because also, like, in this chapter, we also get a lot of, like, weird, like, her feelings towards Marjorie. So I think that also has a lot to do with it, where where she's just like, oh my god, like, she's gonna replace me and all that. Like, I think there's a tactical, like, political side to it, where it's like, he's literally a kid, and now it's even further her getting him on her side. But then I think there's also a Cersei-ness to it, which is just like a weird jealousy, and like, she's gonna replace me, and like, I'm the queen. So I think there's like I said, there's valid sides to it, and then she takes it one step further and makes it like the Cersei special. And it's just like, okay, like, you have a point, but why are we making the point a line? You know? Like, it's a little too much.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. While you were talking, I also looked up, like, when she mentioned the Valonqar in a prior chapter, she says, my children will be safe, Tommen's throne will be secured, and my twisted little Valonqar will be short ahead and rotting. And she's talking about Tyrion in this. So she calls him a Valonqar. And then she talks about, in that same chapter, the dwarf would come for her as well, the queen knew, just as the old woman had promised her in the dimness of that tent. I laughed in her face, but she had powers. I saw my future in a drop of blood. My doom. So it does seem to be the same, like, you know.
That's what I took. I took it as, because it felt like the
so,
similar, like, the old woman.
Let's, like, summarize what this woman told her. So she went to some old woman in a tent, who we learn in this chapter is called Maggie the Frog. We also hear that she's from the East, because she compares, like, Lady Merryweather's voice to, like, she says that it has an Eastern tone, and Maggie's voice had an Eastern tone. So there's this Eastern woman, Maggie the Frog, who is an old woman living in a tent, and her friend, or, like, what is this? What does she call? Melara? Like, Melara is there?
Yeah.
It just says Melara, like, we don't even get any information on who Melara is.
Yeah.
Melara is there. Melara is since then dead. What this woman told Cersei, and presumably Melara, is that Cersei will be queen until a fairer, more beautiful queen comes to take her down and take away everything she holds dear. And also that the Valonqar, who is Tyrion, will kill her or her kids or both.
Some sort of doom, like, vibes.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's also interesting, because there was that whole, like, I guess she never saw Sansa as a threat, but, like, Sansa was younger and prettier and, like, that sort of thing. But I guess because, like, that marriage wasn't happening anytime soon. And I think also, like, I think with recent events, it's, like, the grief mixed in is making the paranoia all worse. So I think maybe before, like she said, like, I laughed in her face. And maybe with the queen thing, like, she just was like, of course I'm gonna be queen. Like, do you know what I mean? The ego kind of was like, that wasn't her prediction. That was just me becoming queen. Cause
and also, like, not for nothing, but the prediction that, like, some younger queen's gonna come over and take your place is
that
not
always
really much
happens.
of a prediction.
I was gonna say that too, because it's like, once you become a queen, that's usually what happens.
She's justifying later to herself. She's looking at Marjorie and she's like, she's not that pretty, so it can't be her that she's gonna take over my too.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. It's like, it's so funny to get her, like, ego and paranoia mixed in with, like, the logic that she does have. Like, do you know what I mean? It's such an interesting combination to be in her head. Because it's such a, like, it's such a melting pot of, like, feelings. And you're kind of, like, you're constantly sitting there, like, with like little tweezers trying to pick out each one, but it's so hard because it's a fucking melting pot, you know? It's yeah.
I love
it's
these
so
chapters.
fun being in her head.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, so anyway,
they're
sorry,
gonna
my point was just that, like, I think she's only now starting to take it seriously. Because I think for her, like, she had that distance from Tyrion. I'm sure it added to the resentment of Tyrion, but I think it was just like, oh, what's this bitch gonna do? I'm queen, and he's at Casterly Rock, like, you know? And then I think just, like, as he became Hand and started dominating, and the Blackwater happened, and, like, now, like, her son died, I feel like it's all, like, now she's, like, only now is she starting to take all of it seriously.
Right.
Like, in this chapter, like, she's even pushing, like, Jaime away. And I know she feels like, oh, Jaime's changed, and that's the issue. But I think that's also just, like, when the paranoia gets so far that you basically start isolating yourself. Like, she's like, you know? So I feel like that's also just part of it. So I feel like it's just her, like, now, like, taking it super seriously compared to before, where I think, like, I don't know, she was either hiding it really well, but I don't think she was this...
Or, it hadn't, like, she hadn't lost a kid yet,
Yeah.
Things weren't going so wrong for her, so she felt safe.
Yeah. She was like, oh, I write my own destiny, no queen's gonna replace me, no younger. Mm-hmm. I'm the prettiest, who could do that?
Yeah. So anyway, she gets Jaime to promise that he's going to stay by Tommen's side until the sun comes up. Mm-hmm. And,
She's thinking back to, like, when Olenna had basically gotten her to agree to them sleeping together for, like, one night, like Tommen and Marjorie. And Olenna makes multiple, like, shots at, like, Jaime not being the dad, or Jaime being the dad, kind of, like, subtly. Like, she's like, when Cersei finally agrees, she's like, okay, fine, like, one day they can sleep together, you know? Mm-hmm. She's like, oh, yeah, like, I'm sure her Grace knows best, like, she's the boy's own mother, after all. Of that, we are all sure. Mm-hmm. And I just was like, damn. And then she makes, like, multiple shots later on, too, and I was like, girl is getting so bold. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a moment. Yeah. But basically, Jaime's like, okay, so we still gonna burn that Tower of the Hand down, which is a thing they're doing, and she's like, it's the only thing I'm looking forward to today. And so we hear about...
Oh, yeah, continue.
We hear about what's been going on with the Tower of the Hand. They've basically been picking it apart and have discovered and ripped up, like, 100 passages, but they still haven't found all of them.
Yeah.
And some are so small that they have to, like, get kids to go in them. And they found one to the Black Cells. They found a stone well that seems to have no bottom.
Oh my god.
If you remember in Arya's chapter, when she gets down these passages, she hears Varys and Illyrio coming up that well.
Oh, damn.
And they found a chamber full of skulls and yellowed bones. Ugh. And also 4 sacks of tarnished silver coins from the reign of the first King Viserys, which I'm like, wait, were there multiple King Viserys? I thought Viserys, Daenerys' brother, was calling himself king, but nobody here acknowledged it, and he was going to be the second. But maybe there have been more than one before that, too. Yeah, I just, like, had a thought, okay?
Yeah.
They found 1,000 rats.
Okay, were these the... Okay, these aren't, like, the Tyrell coins that I think Varys planted, right? These are different coins.
That was just one gold coin.
Okay, but they weren't, like, Viserys coins? Like, those were different coins?
No. Yeah, I don't think, like, Viserys might have known of the existence of these, because, like, he spent his entire life in those tunnels, right?
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, these are not... No.
Okay, cool.
I don't think so. I think this is just, like, somebody forgot them down there, like, hundreds of years ago. Like,
that's
kind
so
of thing,
funny.
You know?
Yeah.
They also, like, people kept getting stuck in the passages.
Yeah.
And 2 guardsmen vanished exploring a side tunnel.
That's terrifying.
Some of the other guards swore they could hear them calling faintly through the stone, but when Jaime's men tore down the wall, they found only earth and rubble on the far side.
That's terrifying.
So these 2 people just have disappeared.
That's terrifying.
Right?
That's absolutely nightmare fuel.
It is
Imagine
God.
living somewhere where you could just disappear and no one would ever find you.
I mean, that happens.
I'm gonna cry. No,
Yeah,
I know, but like,
it-
like imagine like yourself living somewhere where you could just disappear and no one would find you.
But like, we don't live in such a good world. It still happens.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just like, I'm like thinking, I'm like, what the fuck would I do? Like,
yeah, there are thousands
yeah.
of missing and murdered Indigenous women, children, and Two-Spirit people.
Yeah.
There's a, yeah, it just, I think, you know, for in this case, it's like it's like a supernatural
job,
almost kind
like,
of thing.
Yeah.
But like also in our world, it happens because some people's lives are valued more than others.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, sorry to get dark, but
yeah,
but what that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, people have disappeared, and like, who knows where they've gone? Like, they know where they are, but they don't.
Yeah, like on the job, they're just like, went to work, and
they're just in walls somewhere.
That's, oh my god.
Yeah, they're probably starved and are dead now, but you know.
Yeah, this castle's terrifying.
Yeah. And then Cersei's like, oh my god, I hate this whole place. I wish I could burn it all down and move to Castle Rock and rule from there. And then Jaime's like, well, that would be foolish, because then Tommen's claim would seem even weaker. And she's like, well, I know that, obviously. I'm just saying.
That would be cool. Did I say I was gonna do it? No, I didn't.
She's so angry.
Yeah. I was like, were you always this slow, or did losing a hand make you stupid? Like, girl, chill. Like, yeah.
Jaime ignored that.
Yeah.
If these flames spread beyond the tower, you may end up burning down the castle whether you mean to or not. Wildfire is treacherous. To which I was like, wait, they're using wildfire?
Yeah, that's terrifying.
I guess, like, it's stone, so, like, regular fire won't do much, but, like, also, we're just playing with wildfire now. And also, okay, I'm gonna wait till we talk about this later.
Okay. But also, like, it's nice because there's like that parallel between like the flames and like her anger and like paranoia and all this shit, because it's like she's like, oh, I'm just gonna burn this thing down and then it'll be fine, but it's like she's like not thinking like I don't know if they have like a contingency plan. She's just relying on these pyromancers who she's barely ever interacted with to like control, like, do you know what I mean? It just feels irresponsible in the same way that she's being like irresponsible with like, she's just like, I don't want to talk to these people. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, the entire wedding, she's just like in the corner, and it's like, I understand.
I don't wanna.
Yeah, it's like, I understand that she's grieving and she doesn't want to do any of it, but it is like at the end
it's
of
like
the day,
she's like me at like a networking event, but I deal with it. Like, I actually
at the end of the day, like, if you want to be queen regent, this is part of the job. Like, you know, like you can't pick and choose. You can't be like, I want these people to respect me and I want them to be on my side, and then not like, and then do nothing to make them think that you're on their side. You know, like you can't do that. You can't, like, you have to earn the respect, and like you can't just be like, oh, these fucking people were talking to me and I just was like, get out. Like, that's not gonna work. Like, bro, you're like, what's her name, Sanella? Like, you're like freaking like handmaiden is not on your side, and you didn't even like, you know what I mean? Like, that to me is like a clear, like, you're not keeping track of your people, bro. Like, the person who like dresses you and like washes you doesn't like know, like, or sorry, like, you don't know what's up with them. You don't know
that they're against you.
Like, that to me is like a clear, like, we gotta do a little bit of networking. Like,
okay, true. But we gotta talk about Sanella later. But also, I'm gonna talk about it now.
Okay.
Not this, but something else.
Okay.
So she says, let all of King's Landing see the flames. It will be a lesson to our enemies. Now you sound like Eris, says Jaime. And what I want to know is what Jaime's thinking, seeing this tyrannical ruler playing with wildfire when he had to kill a similar ruler in the past.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I like, I wish that the next Jamie chapter is like the other like, I wish we get the other POV of this chapter, because like this entire chapter is like, yeah, like that, the madness of like the like playing with fire, tearing it down, thinking that's gonna solve the problem, that plus the Eris special paranoia, plus like there's like 4 or 5 times in this chapter where they have like a little they're like a little snippy towards each other, and then it ends with him being like, love you too, sister. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing. And it happens like 4 or 5 times. So it's like, I also want to get that other perspective of like, because he also doesn't trust her right now. His brain is like, she's been fucking Osmond and Lancel and Moonboy for all I... Like, that's last time we saw him. That's where he was at. And I can't imagine that these little getting mad, these little like, not even arguments or getting mad at each other, just like little like, what are they called when it's like a
spats.
Little thank you, yeah, like a little, I can't imagine that these little spats are helping, because it's like he's trying to like connect with her and be like, hey, like this is what we're doing to like keep Tommen safe, and like, you know what I mean, and it's like she's just like isn't really responsive to that, and like I can't imagine that's making his worries better. And like also it's like they have this disconnect where like, because obviously he doesn't know about the stuff in the tent, so she's like super worried about that too, and it's like he doesn't know, like there's just such a misunderstanding in both directions, and it really doesn't get better. But like I do want his perspective too, of like I'm sure this is just making him like more and more like anxious and like uneasy, and that's probably part of why he keeps being like, love you too, sister, right? Love you, yeah. And then he's like, and then like right up until the end of the chapter,
I don't know if it's like a like trying to reaffirm it. It's more like a, yeah, I really hate you too, but it's like being sarcastic. I love you too. Like,
I don't think
took
so
it as
though.
that.
I feel like if it was any other chapter, sure. But to me, this is like when he's freaking the fuck out, you know? Like the last 2 times we saw him, he's been freaking the fuck out. Like, I just see this as like I think like Cersei is taking it as that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because she doesn't know that he knows, you know? So I'm sure like she sees it as like because I think he's done that before, where he'll be like, wow, my beloved sister, after they'll like be yelling at each other, like that. He is sarcastic, like that is how he behaves, and I don't fault her for not realizing that like that's not what it is, but I don't think that's what it is from his side, just because he's so in his head about this from the last few times we saw him. But yeah,
basically she's also had enough of him. She's like, how could I ever have loved that wretched creature?
Yeah, which was crazy. I was like, wow, we're just gonna isolate ourselves now, are we?
Yeah. Okay. So, basically, they get...
Okay, wait, sorry. There was one more thing. Who the fuck is Ossifer Plum?
I don't know either.
Okay.
I don't think it matters.
She made like an odd comment and Jamie was like,
probably
who's
some
Plum?
Historic somebody.
And I was like, who's Ossifer Plum? Like, I felt like Jamie in this case. I was like, what is she on about? Okay, cool.
So they get to the wedding. This time it's a little toned down because nobody wants the mess of the last wedding. And it's happening in like the Red Keep's church sept, as opposed to the Sept of Baelor. And Marjorie looks great. She's wearing her old dress.
Can't keep affording those wedding dresses, guys.
And Tommen saying his vows in a childish voice because he is a child. But Cersei is wearing black. It's like such a... I just want to be like in the heads of other guests who are just like, she is so...
She's in her own world.
Yeah, because like they're like, oh my gosh, she's wearing black to her son's wedding. Like, we get it, she's mourning her other son, but like that. But also she's being so rude to everybody and not dancing with everybody.
Yeah. She's just like every single... She's like, yeah, they eventually stopped asking, and I'm glad they realized. I'm like, that's not a good thing. That's not I'm glad they stopped asking. That's a, oh my god, they, like, stopped trying to even connect with me. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when it comes time to the
especially
because
they already they love Marjorie. And they like the Tyrells. Like, this is not, we're not making it better for the Lannisters, girl. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so then it's time to change the cloaks, and this time, the Tyrell, so Lady Olenna insisted on a Baratheon cloak instead of a Lannister one. Because, like, same thing, like, they feel they're more confident now, they've got more power in the situation, and they can insist on this shit. But also, like, Cersei, what were you thinking giving Joffrey your cloak? Like,
yeah,
you know, that in itself at the beginning, that was, like, a sus decision.
Yeah.
But since, like, Tywin was still in power and everything was, like, the Tyrells were...
They just wanted the wedding over, like, make the wedding happen and then... insert themselves.
Now it's like, we want this done right.
Yeah.
Because, like, oh, wouldn't a stag be more fitting for King Robert's trueborn son?
Once again, love the little slay Olenna.
In my day, a bride donned her husband's color, not his lady mother's.
Oh, straight strike to the ego.
Yeah, so then afterwards, people are toasting, and he says, Westeros has 2 queens now, and the young one is as beautiful as the old one. And
she could have slapped him. So funny. Oh my god.
And, you know, everybody's congratulating, and she's just like, oh, I hate it. I can't deal with
this. Giles Rosby made to kiss her hand, and only succeeded in coughing on her fingers. Like, she's so funny for no reason. I can't.
So then Kevin Lannister comes to congratulate her, but then he's like, I gotta go. Lancel's gotta get married. His castle's free now. And and then Cersei's like, oh, is your wife gonna be there? And he's like, no, the Riverlands are still too dangerous. Vargo Hote's people remain ravaging, and Beric Dondarrion's been hanging Freys. And also, is it true that Sandor Clegane has joined him?
Craziness.
Apparently, Cersei got a report from, like, a town near the Salt Pans that had been savagely raided by a band of outlaws. And some of the survivors claimed a roaring brute in a hound's helm was amongst the raiders.
Oh my god.
So, what do you think about this?
I think they re-alived him.
Really?
Yeah.
So, these are, like, the Brotherhood Without Banners that are now out there now raiding with villages? I thought they were helping people.
I don't know, bro.
So they re-alived Catelyn, and then now also the Hound.
Yeah, because I think, like,
but why? What interest would they have in, like, bringing the Hound back?
Because the Hound can do shit. Like, look at the Hound, bro. If he's on your side,
just for his, like, physical power.
That's what I assumed.
Okay, no, I'm just curious.
Because, like, and, like, homie can fight. He's scary, you know?
Interesting.
Because, like, okay. And, like, even
but
if they...
also...
Kate, hold up. Even if they didn't re-alive him, like, even if they just, like, nursed him back to health and somehow he wasn't dead by the time they found them.
Right.
That's still useful to them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But okay. I just think, like, to me it's like, okay, thinking about the Hound... Like, if it was just the Hound, like, why would he be on there? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what's he doing with them? Is my question. That's what made me go further towards, like, the re-aliving. Because it's like, why would the Hound join these people? Or is it just, like, he had nowhere else to go and he was, like, you know what I mean? He's, like, paying for his keep vibes.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I just... Because also, we know after, like, when we saw Catelyn and them again, like, we know that, like, Beric and Thoros were off doing something else, so their leaders were gone. So I could understand these people, like, going off track.
Like, killing people. The Hound was like, I want to retire, like the last time we saw him, you know? killing people and also like sexually assaulting people. That doesn't seem like the Hound's MO. But like Catelyn changed after death, maybe so did the Hound.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was thinking, because like,
okay,
it just seems like, yeah, like it seems like they just took like the Hound's physicalities and like now he's like zombie Count, you know?
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So,
but I think my only thing is just like, well, like Thoros was doing that previously, so if Thoros isn't there right now, how would they have done it? Or did Thoros get back? Because now maybe Thoros and Beric were the 3 people on the ship, and now they're back. Like, you know. Oh wait, no, the ship was going to the Narrow Seas, right?
Yeah, somewhere across the sea.
Okay, so I guess it couldn't have. So like, there's plot holes there, but that's the best I got for you.
Cool. All right, so she's like, okay, well, maybe you can take care of the Hound for me, and then maybe you'll get something in return.
Mm-hmm.
Because currently she's named some cousins as Castellan for the Rock and Warden of the West, so.
It's funny to me, because Kevin literally was like, I don't want a job. I want to retire, see my lady wife.
No, he did say make me Castellan of the Rock.
Oh, okay.
I think so. He said, let me go back there and do that. And she in her pettiness, she was like, I don't want you to do anything for me. Get out of my face.
Oh my god. Oh, okay, I forgot that. Because I was like, girl, does he even want this? Like, is this a thing you'd be holding over his head? Because I think what I remember from the conversation was I just remembered him being like, I gotta go get my kid set up so he's good. And then I just want to, like, have an easy retirement with my wife because I haven't seen her in so long. So I also just, like, I feel like he wouldn't, like, this I
think both of those things can be true. Like, he can be Castellan and be, like,
okay, yeah, that's true. Because I just figured, like, it's also not that big of a deal if he doesn't get to be Castellan. Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh, yeah, I don't think so.
It's not like he's
I don't
ambitious,
even know if
you know?
he listens to it and he's like, oh, yeah, I want to.
Yeah. like, I think he just, like, I just think, I'm saying to Cersei specifically, like, this isn't the consequence you think it is. Like,
yeah. Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, even because Kevin's response is like,
okay,
when a dog goes bad, the fault lies with his master. Then he turned and walked away. So, like, he ain't giving a shit.
Girl boss Kevin.
Yeah. So they go to the small hall for the feast and, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, once again, a little spat. She's like, I blame you for all this. Why the fuck does she want to get married so quickly? She should be sick with grief. Why are we doing this so quickly? Like this, and I think this is just like all her grief coming out.
Yeah, and Jaime's like, it's fine. They're like, Lady Olenna's gonna leave, and then Mace Tyrell's gonna leave with half his army, and like the other half's gonna go back to, you know, whatever, the Reach. Mm-hmm. And then there's only gonna be a few people left here from the Tyrells. It's gonna be great. Mm-hmm. She's like, well, Loras will be here, and he's like, well, Loras is a Kingsguard, and he's like, well,
and she's like, he shouldn't have been given a white cloak. And I was like, was it her or Tywin who gave him a? It was her.
Tywin.
It was. Why did Tywin? Oh, it was part of the deal, like the marriage deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. Because I was like, who gave him the cloak then? If Jaime's complaining about it and Cersei's complaining about it, I was like, who did this? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. He's like, well, I think he's gonna be fine. Once a man puts on that cloak, it changes him. It certainly changed you, and not for the better. I love you too, sweet sister. So he, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, then Marjorie comes up and is like, oh, I'm so happy, and I prayed, and
she makes a special note that Marjorie was on the other side of Tommen in the place of honor. Makes a specific note.
I feel as though I have a second mother now. I pray that we shall be very close, united by your love for your sweet son. I loved both my sons. Joffrey is in my prayers as well. I loved him dearly, though I never had the chance to know him.
Please.
Liar, the queen thought.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you did. Through all the Sansa stories you got.
Yeah. Anyway, so the feast is fine. They only have 7 dishes instead of 77 dishes, which is much more reasonable. And they've got some performers. There's only one singer who's apparently Marjorie's favorite. Mm-hmm. A dashing young cockawhoop. Cockawhoop clad. I don't think I know what that means.
Please.
All in shades of azure, who called himself the Blue Bard. And once he finishes, Elena's like, what a disappointment. I was hoping for the reigns of Castamere.
Oh, she's too real for that. That's so funny. Yeah.
And yeah, so Cersei is looking at Olenna. Whenever she looked at the crone, the face of Maggie the Frog seemed to float before her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But then she's like, nah, there's nothing actually alike about them.
Mm-hmm.
But they're both evil, so I don't like it.
Yeah, literally.
Olena's nasty little smile was enough to put her back in Maggie's tent again. She could still remember the smell of it. Rodolent? What is the word? Redolent? Okay, this is a new word for me. It means reminiscent of. Okay,
Ooh.
sorry. Redolent with queer Eastern spices and the softness of Maggie's gums as she sucked the blood from Cersei's finger.
Yeah, so this is
Queen,
the drop of
you
blood
shall
that
be.
she referenced before, where she's like,
Right.
reading my fate with a drop of blood.
Queen you shall be, until there comes another younger and more beautiful to cast you down and take all that you hold dear.
Ooh.
And this is when she's looking at Marjorie. She's like, she's not that pretty. She's only young.
Yeah.
Everybody's pretty when they're young.
Please.
And people are, raising their glasses. They're toasting to the king and queen. Other sheep all bad along with him.
Please.
I just love how she's literally like sheeple. Like,
yeah.
And she's so mad. She's like, she could throw her wine into their eyes and remind them that she was the true queen. And yeah, she's been heavily drinking this entire time. And also for breakfast, she had a bunch of wine instead of food.
Yeah.
So just a lot.
Yeah.
And then it's Paxter Redwine who remembers to toast her as well to both our queens, the young and the old.
That's a move.
And then it just says Cersei drank several cups of wine.
Please. Iconic. But like in a
so
bad way.
She's sitting there, and then at one point Tommen chokes on the wine he's drinking, and she's like, oh my god, he's dying. But it's really just he choked on some wine.
Yeah.
And
girl is struggling, bro. Yeah,
she's traumatized by that. Yeah. That's fair.
No, totally.
But like Marjorie's like, it's fine, we're good. And Tommen's like, sorry, I took such a big sip.
Aw, Tommen.
And then that makes her cry, so she like leaves because she can't let them see her cry. Mm-hmm. So she leaves the room and she's outside. Mm-hmm. And Lady Merryweather approaches her. And so she's like, oh yeah, the smoke was just making my eyes water. And Merryweather's like, I would be crying too. If the day my son weds, I shall weep rivers on the day he weds. Okay. I just, because
it's okay.
But yeah, Cersei, and then he gives her, it's fine. It's cool. And then, so Merryweather is like, I have something to tell you. Your maid is bought and paid for. She tells Lady Marjorie everything you do.
Oh my god.
And this whole, like, she's like, oh yeah, you can even see them whispering tomorrow if you look in the sept. Like, yeah, this is real info.
Yeah. Like,
first off, I don't know, like, I don't, like, think that it's not possible, but do I know for a fact that it's true?
Oh, like she's not just making this up and using, like, Cersei's paranoia against her?
Yeah, just to, like, gain some, like, trust with her?
Maybe.
Yeah, because even Cersei's like, if it's true, why would you tell me? You're on Marjorie's side. Like, your house is sworn to her. And Merryweather's like, well, I'm from the East, so I'm not really sworn to anybody. I just care about my son's happiness.
Right. Like, they could
So it could be true.
Right, like, they could just be friends who talk, but... Exactly. She isn't like, oh, she specifically told her when you did this thing.
Yeah, or like Sindel is going to the sept and then I don't know. Like,
yeah.
you know.
No, I do get your point. Yeah, I think I just kind of took it at face value, but I think
I take it as
point.
both. Like, I'm gonna keep both eyes open.
Yeah. Because I do definitely think, like, this is, like even Cersei says, like, she has a musky scent. Underneath it, she smelled ambition. And that, I'm like, oh, absolutely. But I just, like, I don't know.
Yeah, but if I'm an ambitious person in King's Landing right now, I'm betting on the winning side. And Cersei does not appear to be the winning side, you know?
Yeah. I think she just is, like, I think it's one of those things where, like, it's not like she's publicly declaring her love for Cersei. She can easily just deny it later on. Like, she can, like, because this is, like, completely in secret. No one's here. So it's kind of more like playing both sides. Because at the end of the day, like, she is on their side. She is on the current winning side. But this is just her being like, well, why don't I get something out of it if I can?
Bets, yeah.
Yeah,
I just feel like either way, I don't trust Cersei to just dismiss Sanel. I feel like she's gonna torture this child, and I don't want to. I don't know, you know?
No, that's fair.
Just whatever. But then, okay, so she's like questioning whether, you know, after the she smelled ambition line, she's like, I remember this girl. I remember Meriwether. She gave testimony at Tyrion's trial. She saw the imp put the poison in Joff's cup and was not afraid to say so. So we know that never happened. So
she has a history
not above making things up. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
But also, like, making things up on Cersei's side, it seems.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, Cersei's like, okay, well, if what you say is true, you'll be rewarded. And Meriwether's like, oh, how kind of you. And, you know, your grace is so kind and beautiful, which she really knows what's hurting right now. And, she knows how to play the game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So then she returns to the feast, and Jaime's like, yeah, it scared me too when he choked on that wine, but like, we're fine. And
damn, and she's like,
looking around.
No one who wears a crown is ever safe. And I was like, damn.
It's true, but like, yeah. It just, like, I don't know. On the one hand, like, obviously it's such a privileged position to be, like, born into like a kingdom, right?
Yeah.
But also, like, poor kids who are just, like, burdened with this, like, oh, you're gonna have to rule the whole thing, you know? Yeah. Anyway. So she's looking around and she's like, I can't trust any of these people.
I'm gonna get rid of all of them.
Exactly.
Like, girl, what?
I'm like, but who are you gonna put in their place?
Yeah.
Like, who are your own people that you're gonna put in?
Like, okay, so you won't dance with anyone. You won't talk to anyone. You're gonna sit in a corner and make friends? How? Like, what?
Yeah. So, yeah, speaking of dancing, this is when everybody starts dancing and asking her, and she's like, no, thank you. Go the fuck away. And she's watching everybody dance. And at one point, Loras and Marjorie are dancing. And she's noticing how similar they look. And she's like, they were more alike than she and Jaime. That annoyed her too.
Which is so funny. It's so funny. Like, even, like, the slight, like, wow, that's our thing. Where the, like, what?
Exactly.
This is, are you 12? Like, you've got, like, what? Yeah. And she's like, a ripe crop of pimples would teach them some humility. And it's like, look who is speaking, girl. Have we seen a mirror recently? Like, she's so funny. Like,
so then Jaime asks her to dance, and she's like, what, with your stump? No, thank you. But here, fill my wine cup for me. And then he's like, a cripple like me? Oh, no, I don't think I can manage it without spilling. And he walks away, because, like...
Yeah. Also, she has a line.
She had to fill her own cup.
Oh, what a betrayal, right? No, when she's looking around at, like, people dancing, and she's like, they're making him look like a fool by dancing. And I'm like, or maybe they're dancing with him. Maybe it's just, maybe they're having fun.
Let your kid have some fun.
No, literally. And she's like, half the court will be laughing at him behind his back. And I'm like, oh, we're worried about people laughing at him behind his back. Okay. Okay, cool. Like, I just, where is the self-awareness? It's non-existent.
Not here, yeah.
Like, it's
then
like,
she's
I
watching...
feel bad for her, so I want to be on her side, but she makes it so hard. Like,
yeah.
girl.
So then she's watching the Marjorie's cousins dance. Eleanor is dancing with the bastard of Driftmark, who is like... So Driftmark is the house of the Valerians, and Valerians also come from old Valyria, so they have some of the similar features as the Targaryens. So she's like thinking back to when she first saw this guy and was like, oh, is this Rhaegar? But really not, obviously.
Remember when she was gonna marry Rhaegar? That was crazy.
Yeah, I do remember that. So she's just sitting there stewing, basically, and goes to like have more wine. And this is when Jaime's like, I think Her Grace has had more than enough wine for one night.
Right before that, she sees Kevin talking to Garland, and she's like, the fuck are they talking about? Why do they talk? And it's like, Cersei, people talk at weddings. Like, what do you mean? And she just is like, now she's thinking back to like the coins that, like the Tyrell coins they'd found, and she's like, everyone's spying on me. It's just further paranoia. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So yeah, Her Grace has had more than enough wine. No, all the wine in the world will not be enough to see me through this wedding. And then she goes to get up, but she's so drunk she basically almost falls down, but Jaime catches her. And then she gets up and invites everybody outside to see a candle lit. And this is when they light up the Tower of the Hand. And, like, Tommen's afraid, but Marjorie's really good at comforting him, which is, like, good for her.
Good for
and
her.
Apparently, so, like, they filled the tower with wildfire, obviously, but also, like, other things, logs and pitch and whatever. And the greater part of the worldly possessions of a dwarf named Tyrion Lannister. So she's burning all of Tyrion's shit in there as well. And, yeah, she's watching it. She's like, it's beautiful. The most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And
no man had ever made her feel as good as she had felt when he took her nipple in his mouth to nurse. What? About
like,
Joffrey.
She's thinking about Joffrey.
She likes Joffrey I this
to
much?
Not think...
Like,
yeah.
okay, but
it's like a really real obsession.
This is such weird, like he's such a mommy's
Joffrey
girl,
is
or
like
a mommy's boy. Like, he's so like.
Well, I don't know if he is, because he kind of despised her at some point.
It's like a weird, like, one way, like.
It's like, okay, if we think about Cersei and her relationships, the person she loves the most, maybe not so much anymore, but is Jaime, who is
literally
basically
herself.
her.
Yeah.
And then she has a kid with Jaime, and then she's like, oh, this is me squared. So, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. But it just, I think every time I'm reminded of that, it kind of hits me.
But yeah, maybe, like, okay, I guess, like, people love their kids, so maybe, but this feels more than that,
exactly.
You know?
This isn't like no man had ever made her feel as good is a weird way to say, I really love my kid.
I agree with you.
And every other time,
I chose to close my eyes and move on from that sentence because I didn't want to deal with it.
It's honestly distressing to read that. Because there's like...
Yeah, because you're equating sexual pleasure.
And also because this is in a moment where she's describing breastfeeding him. So it almost feels like she's weirdly sexualizing that experience. Which obviously it's not... It feels like more of a George
like it could be, but like not when it's like your kid, like you know.
yeah, literally. like no kink shaming here, but not for your child. You're fucking breastfeeding. Don't do that. Yeah, because it's just weird that George R. R. Martin is writing that specific. Like, you know what I'm saying, right? It's like the weirdest sexual undertones, but it's literally her kid who she's grieving, who was built out of twincest. Like,
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Oh, I love that you use that term. Sorry.
I don't think I've ever used that term because it's never made sense.
I remember telling you about it way back when.
Really? That's funny. I didn't remember.
Oh yeah, like when
twin
Bran's
sis.
kill when Jamie pushes Bran out the window.
You're right. Yeah. Oh my god. Like, that's so, like, it's also, like, it's just so weird. So there's, like, all those weird levels to it. And then there's also, like, it's just funny. Because it's, like, you've never, like, enjoyed the sex you and Jamie, like, it's just weird.
No, she's saying she enjoyed this more.
But that's weird. Like, that's so
I agree.
weird.
I don't know why you were like saying it as if I disagree with you.
I don't know who I'm arguing with. I think I'm just arguing with George R. R. Martin, I think. Like, I'm not talking to you right now. I'm talking to George. I'm like, George, this is a weird thing to write and a weird way to write it. Because I think before this, it's always been undertones. There's never been this, like, explicit, like, I remember breastfeeding my child and that being the most pleasure like, it's just a weird thing to say. Anyway, the rest of the Cersei stuff, I pin it on Cersei. This, I pin it on George. Moving on.
Oh, no, I agree. George R. R. Martin has, like, I think he's got a breastfeeding kink, first off. Like, it's fine, but also, can you not include kids in that, please?
Yeah. Make it like Cersei and Jaime's, like, playing.
Yeah, but also the way he talks about sex and bodies and things, just yikes.
Yeah.
Like, he's a great writer, except in this area.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to say, but it's only gonna get worse.
Oh no. Great. Thanks for telling me that.
Well, it's like a warning. Okay. So
yeah, she's watching it all happen, and she's thinking back to all the king's hand she'd known throughout the years, and
apparently a Merryweather was a hand at one point. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, very interesting. She's like, it's my day now. They're dead and burning with all their plots and schemes and betrayals, and I'm like, well, what do? Plots and schemes and betrayals. Like, girl, like, that's literally the Game of Thrones. Isn't that what all of you do?
Yeah. So, yeah, everybody's, like, watching, but they're like, okay, time to go to bed now. Like, what's like, what else is there to do? And then Cersei's like, no, I want to stay. I'm gonna watch these flames. They're so pretty. And Jaime's like, you shouldn't be alone here.
Yeah.
And then she says, well, I won't be alone. Sir Osmond can keep me company.
Oh.
And she grabs his arm and just is, like, gazing into the fire. Once again, she's fucking Osmond Kettleblack and Lancel and Moonboy for all I know.
I really need Jaime's POV here. I need this chapter to start at the wedding.
Yeah.
And to get all these interactions.
Like, literally that, like, obviously the, Kettleblack paranoia, but also, like, her, like, enjoying this burning.
Exactly.
With his, like, history.
Exactly. All of that, and then, like, all of that, and I also just, like, because she's, like, Cersei slid her arm through his, and side by side, they watched the fire rage, which is also, like, because Jaime has all this anger and fire, and then she has all this anger, and it's, like, the physical manifestation of all of it. And it's just, like, so good. I'm like, this is so spicy, and I love it. But I also hate it, because it's, like, anxiety-inducing, because you're like, oh my god, when is this ever going to get resolved? And you're like, I don't know if it is, like.
Yeah. Okay, so. Any predictions? Like, it's hard to ask for specific predictions.
And it's hard to give
How's their marriage going to be? How is Cersei and Jaime's relationship going to be?
Cersei and Jaime, epic breakup incoming soon. I keep saying that, but now, especially with this plotline, come on.
Yeah, but, like, what can their breakup even mean? Like, he's still Kingsguard. They're still gonna be around each other.
Yeah, that's true. But
it's just like, we won't have sex anymore. Oh, great. Wow, siblings not having sex. What a...
True. It's not so much about the, like, resolution of the breakup. It's more about, like, the breakup. Like, I just want to see them yell at each other. Like, it'll just be fun.
Yeah.
I think...
And, like, Cersei's resentment of him is growing over him changing. But, like, obviously, there was that sexual assault that occurred, which I think I told you at the time that it's not treated as such.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be forgotten.
Right. It's written in, like, because as the reader, you're like, oh, of course that's contributing. But it's never written as though that contributes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I'm going to choose to be like, oh, that is part of it. Because
so, yeah, like, so they both want to break up, but, like, who's gonna pull the trigger?
Yeah, I think it'll be Jaime.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think, like, I don't know if Cersei gets a redemption arc. Like, I don't know if Cersei ever learns her lessons or, like, whatever. But it feels like the direction we're going is Jaime's the only one we're writing a redemption arc for from both of them. So I think it makes sense that, like, Jaime's the one who pulls the plug on the unhealthy, really toxic relationship on both sides, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's like, we see his development, but on her side, we just kind of get, like, she's super deep into the grief, and for her, it's like things are getting worse. Like, there's more anger, there's more paranoia, there's more irrationality. But with him, it's like, we see him, like, it's like his overall arc is composure, you know? He's, like, supposed to get there. What was I saying? Okay, so that's how that's gonna go. I think Tommen and Marjorie is gonna be going well, which is also gonna make Cersei mad, because she's gonna be like, you can't trust this bitch, and he's gonna be like, she's cool, she plays Pokemon with me. Like, you know, like that sort of vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think...
Yeah, because technically Marjorie is queen now, and Cersei is only queen regent.
Exactly.
But, like, not only, like, as regent, she has Tommen's power, but, like, you know, there's gonna be some power clashings there.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see. And it'll be interesting to see if, like... Because we haven't seen married Marjorie, so we don't know if the act fades away, or if she's still super
Marjorie
nice.
The younger and more beautiful queen that's gonna come and take all she holds dear?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I think some other theories are also, like, obviously, like, Sansa at some potential points, but also, like, Daenerys.
Yeah.
And, like, who? Maybe Asha now. Like,
yeah, I think, like, it'll be one of those things where it ends up just being, like, kind of all of them combined to a little bit. Like, Sansa has the beginning of the unraveling, and then eventually when Dany shows up here...
the middle, and then Daenerys comes to put an end to it.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be, like, a cool arc.
Yeah. Okay. So this Merryweather, her news. So you're leaning towards, like, her maid is spying on her. But how is Merryweather Cersei relationship going to develop?
I think it'll just be, like, as she isolates herself from everyone else, it'll just be further, like, Merryweather, like, feeding into her ear, like, oh my god, look, this person's doing this, you should do something about that. Oh, you should give me and my husband, like, a castle, like, you know, like, that sort of stuff. So I think it'll just be, like, especially after the Jaime stuff happens, and, like, she feels Tommen slipping out of her grasp, like, I think it's just, like, further, like, going into that trap and being unable to, like, see through it. And I think also, like, we still don't know who she's gonna name Hand. We don't know who she's gonna name, like, other stuff. Like, you know, some of those things are still up in the air. She might just name another Lannister cousin who she can just, like, manipulate, you know? Yeah.
Oui, baguette.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sometimes I turn into a child. As in literally, like, quoting things from my childhood. Okay, good. What are we saying? What are we doing? Okay, I think that's good for predictions. Let's move on to next chapters.
Let's do it.
Before we forget again.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, we're reading 2 next time. Give me your hopes and predictions.
I would like to see Arya and Dany.
Cool. Well, you're not going to see either of them.
Lovely. That's great.
Chapter 13. So we're reading chapters 13 and 14. Chapter 13 is called The Soiled Knight.
The fuck? We're still getting new people? Who the fuck is the Soiled Wait. Is this fucking... Oh my god, what's this? Sandor or something? Well,
he was never a knight.
Oh, no, but then didn't they give him a knighthood? Anyway?
No. He was like, I'll be part of the King's Guard, but I will not be a knight.
I'll be the first non-knight. Sorry, I got that mixed up. I was like, wasn't he knight?
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Okay, so he can't be soiled knight. Who's soiled knight? The soiled knight. The soiled knight.
There's no real way you could know, but maybe you could give me a prediction for, like, part of the world.
Is it someone we don't know? Is that why?
It's someone you couldn't guess.
Okay. The soiled knight? The soiled knight? Maybe this person is... Maybe this is, like, Sam's brother or something.
Okay. So, like, the Reach area?
Yeah. Cool. Or maybe this is, like, someone where Dany is.
Okay, yeah.
So it's kind of like... So it's like someone... But they're not knights,
Jorah is kind of a soiled knight.
Maybe. I don't want a Jorah POV, though. Like, at all. I have zero interest.
So give me one guess. Like, Dany's part of the world, or, like, the Reach, or...
Okay, this is someone in one of the free cities.
Okay.
Making their way downtown.
Sure. All right. The next chapter, chapter 14, is Brienne.
Ooh, Brienne. Okay, so she's on her journey.
Heading to, is it Maidenpool?
I think so. I think we keep bouncing between... Yeah. I think she's heading to Maidenpool, and I think she's gonna further be like, wait, I'm going the wrong way. And then turn around. And she'll probably just meet some more people. Oh yeah, her and Pod are together now. Maybe Pod has connections. Maybe we'll find out who the ship people were. Maybe she'll talk to Nimbledick.
I love how you remember that.
Those are my thoughts, I think.
Good thoughts. Okay. I think that's a wrap on that.
Yay.
And we don't have any emails today, so let's just wrap up.
Yeah.
Send us emails. popculturesymposium@gmail.com. Send us alternatives for Slay. We'll test them out.
So true.
Send us bingo ideas.
Yes.
A Song of Ice and Fire Symposium bingo ideas. Yeah, just send us anything.
Yeah.
We like getting emails. And follow us on Instagram @popculturesymposium. I think we have some posts incoming.
Yeah.
And join the Discord, obviously. Yes.
Yeah.
And talk to people. It's great. People are great. And yeah, there's a channel, there's like a separate thread for House of the Dragon now, which I'm not even reading yet because I haven't watched the first episode.
Oh.
Because I want to rewatch the first season. I just haven't found time to do all of it. Okay?
Oh my god, I didn't know. Well, obviously I didn't know this, but oh my god, that's cool.
Yeah, the second season is coming out, like, currently.
Oh, so people are, like, all hyped.
Yeah, and our friends over at Game of Thrones have just started covering the first season. So I'm like, it's a good opportunity for me to, like, also remember the first season, but I'm actually going to watch it. I just haven't gotten around to it. And cool. I just hate the wait between weeks, so I'm trying to extend. Somewhere, like, in the middle of the season, I'll have caught up, and then I'll, like, wait week to week as needed, you know?
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so come talk to us. It's great.
Nice.
And talk to other people, which is even better, really. So,
because who are we? Like...
You listen to us too much.
Don't insult our listeners like that.
I'm insulting us.
No, but you're like, you listen to us too much.
Okay, no, I'm okay. One thing I have caught up on, all my podcasts.
Ooh.
You know what an achievement that's is?
Cool.
At any given time, I usually have like 10 to 15 episodes, like, still to catch up on.
That's terrifying to me.
Today, I looked at my app and there was nothing that I still have to catch up on.
Wow. You're changed.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty proud of myself.
You're
but also I'm like, what do I listen to now?
You're like a renewed, cleansed human. Like,
I guess. But now it just means I have to wait for all the next episodes. But so now I feel the pain of our listeners.
Okay.
But yeah, so come listen to us next time. And until that time, Farewell, my friends.
Talk to you later.